Hey guys, real quick video here for you today on installation of our 4711 Sanden AC compressor bracket. So as you can see here, we've already got the compressor installed on our OM617. The other things you'll notice is we have this retrofit style mid idler mount. So limited production run of these. You won't see these in the future. You'll just see the new serpentine tensioner brackets. If you are installing the retrofit bracket, it's simply two of your water pump bolts and then your two studs that go through for the vacuum pump delete cap and your flange nuts on the front. Your M12 bolt that passes through, then your bushing and your idler pulley on the front, with your flange nut on the front, blue Loctite for the flange nut, torqued to 60 to 65 foot-pounds. And just be sure you check the clearance between the backside of your pulley and your harmonic balancer and shim with a washer if necessary so that those do not contact. All right, installation of the compressor should be very simple. This is a very universal style compressor housing. It's got 4 mounting ears front and back. That way you can mount it on the right hand side or the left hand side of an engine. Very readily available. So this is going to be an 8-rib style serpentine pulley. And yes, we're only running a 6-rib style for the rest of the system. It's okay though. It's better to have more than not enough. It's located off the rear 6 grooves, not the front 6. So just keep that in mind. So you can see we've got our standard SAE style fittings back there. They've got caps on them right now. That's not what the fittings look like. Those are caps to keep the compressor clean until I get the lines put on. But it's just a straight thread. It's a straight SAE thread, not metric, and they just use O-rings. So super simple to have hoses made for them. There's no proprietary fittings or anything to dink around with, and you've simply got your 12-volt connection to engage the clutch. So very, very simple to work with this. You can get these at all sorts of different places: Summit Racing jigs, Classic Auto Air, coldhose.com I think even might sell these. So very readily available. Not going to have problems with availability of these, getting parts, and it comes with the clutch already installed. So I'm going to show you real quick how it goes on. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you will put the bracket on, you'll put the compressor on, and then you'll come back and put your idler pulley on. So I'm going to take you over to a bare engine block so I can show you how it goes. So here's what the bracket looks like when you receive it. You'll need to prep your block so it looks like this. Take the factory alternator bracket off, and the only challenging part is this bolt up here on the front, 17 millimeter head. It's an M10 by 1.5 bolt. You do have to take off the pulley and the balancer and line up. There's a big groove right here, and you have to line that up so you can get your socket over that bolt. If you already have your alternator bracket removed, I'm sorry, but you're probably going to have to take that off again. You might be able to rotate this to align this groove and get that bolt in there, but you're not going to be able to properly torque that bolt, is going to be the problem. So just plan on taking all this stuff off. The bracket goes on, this sits right up on there. So you're going to have 3 M10 by 25 millimeter long bolts with lock washers. Those will go in the top left, top right, bottom right holes. For the bottom left hole, you're going to have this low profile head socket, head cap screw. You got to Loctite this thoroughly, because the bottom left hole has a through hole going into the block, so it would leak engine oil past these threads if you don't Loctite it. So make sure your threads are nice and clean. I'd clean it out with a tap, some brake parts cleaner. Loctite that in. It's low profile because we have to dodge this mounting hole for the compressor. The reason this thing is made so tight is to keep the compressor up as tight as possible next to the block. We move it forward to use the rear 6 pulley grooves because it gets really close to the turbo. The wastegate actuator with the ports on the back of the compressor get pretty close. So we have it tucked up as close to the block as possible, as high up as possible, and as far back as possible. And that's going to help clear things on your right hand side of your frame, because you might have like an idler arm mount for your steering on a Toyota, and we want to clear things as well as possible on everything. So you get your 4 bolts into the block. You will feel a little bit of wiggling. You're going to press the mount straight down so it's equally down on the front and the back, and then you'll run your bolt through the front, tighten all that stuff down. Next, you're going to get out your long M12 bolt. Just leave the lock washer on the back. You're going to apply some blue Loctite right here by the head. You're going to put it through the back, through this idler mount, run that all the way through, torque that to 65 foot-pounds. Then you have 2 different lengths of M10 flanged head bolts. You have some 40s and some 45s. 40s go on the front, 45s go on the back. Very simple. Your compressor goes up on there. You'll run your bolts through the compressor, through the bracket, and then you have some lock nuts. On the back, it's a little bit different. We've got these sleeves that go through, and that allows us to keep things tight while locating only off the front tab. And these are meant to be a tight fit, so you may have to tap those in with a hammer and get them. You do want them to slide freely, but you do want them to be pretty snug. So those go through there, and your longer bolts will go through there, and that's also meant to be a tight fit. You get a flanged head serrated hex nut, so the serration is what locks it on. So tighten your nuts down to lock your compressor in place, and then lastly, you'll have your bolt going through your idler. And just like all the other idler mounts with everything, you put that spacer on there, you put your idler over it, put a dab of blue Loctite on there, take your flange nut, put that on, torque that to 60 to 65 foot-pounds, make sure it clears all the way around, and that's it, you're done.